Hi, Stuart.
Hi, good afternoon or evening or morning. Where would you be?
I'm in Stockholm, so it's the afternoon. So a very
Okay.
social time. What about you?
So late afternoon for me, so good afternoon, yeah.
Hi there.
Hello. Hello, Stuart and Jane.
Hi, hello.
I think we haven't met before.
Correct, yeah.
I'm Hiltrud. Let me change my name. I'm not quite sure am I part of the group, but I get an invitation always to my
Well,
Zoom.
you're in the group now, whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
So now when I got it, I thought, okay, I just check, is there anybody that I know or am I signed up and what is going on? So I'm sitting in Finland and I'm not quite sure do I get the invitation because I'm in the Europe Middle East leadership team, or is it for another reason? Oh, one familiar face, Nathaniel. So
Hi.
sorry, do not let me disturb you. I'm just, maybe trying to get a grip on what is going on in the group. And
You might have signed up for the SIGE. Maybe you didn't realize you'd done that.
yeah, that may well be. At least I get the invitations. Okay, very nice to meet you.
Likewise, yeah.
Well, this is my first meeting, so I'm very new to it as well. So Paul invited me after a few conversations. So yeah, great to be here, and I'm sure we'll have a round of introductions or something at some stage when Paul gets here. But nice to see you.
Okay. Where are you located, Jane?
I'm in Stockholm.
Ah, you're in Stockholm. Okay. Yeah, this is Helsinki. And Stuart, where are you?
I'm in Dubai.
You're in Dubai. Okay. And Nathaniel is in, where was it? Brussels? Where was it?
Antwerp.
Antwerp. Oh, yeah. So you are now in a Corona blocked area, or how is it?
Yeah, pretty much. Although now the numbers are going down in Antwerpen, thankfully, but Brussels is going up. So, so Belgium overall is kind of up and down.
Mm.
How is the situation in your location, Hiltrud?
Finland is the situation is very good actually. So there are only a few cases and we have almost no restrictions at the moment. But obviously with Europe around, going into a worse direction, at some point it will also come here, we are pretty sure. But at the moment it's pretty quiet. Yeah, it's great.
Fingers crossed.
Coming in.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, hello.
So how often do you have these meetings with the SIG group?
I couldn't tell you because it's the first one for me. So I'd have to bow to somebody else's experience on sharing what's either happened or maybe this is the beginning. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the history, I'm afraid.
I think, yeah, we will soon find out. I think the actions have been more operative for now, but I suppose there is no project plan at the moment where there would be regular meetings with some kind of a project team. It's more operative depending on the teams. Oh, Paul is here, so I suppose he can answer you.
I'm so sorry. I was in another IAF meeting waiting for you guys next week. Greetings, everyone. So good to be here. Hey, and we have Alison and John from Australia. 11 p.m. in Australia. Thank you so much, John and Alison.
Our pleasure.
It's fine. Good to be here.
Fantastic. We are waiting for Paolo Martinez. He has also said that he was going to join, but yes, thinking about the devil, and the devil appears. Hi, Paolo. So everybody is having lots of suntan this summer, especially here in Europe. Just a quick show of hand. Who is from European region? Raise your hand, please.
Probably have to define Europe, but
Europe region is Europe, Middle East, and in the IAF. Europe, Middle East, yeah. Okay. So good. I'm not sure if anyone else is going to join us here today. But since it's already 3:05 or 3:04, I would like to welcome you all. I've sent an agenda. Everybody have seen the agenda? Raise hand, please. Ooh. Paolo, have you seen the agenda?
Yes, I have a colleague. I have a colleague who's trying to enter, and the password is not functioning. Is there a different alternative to allow people in?
I'm not sure, but the password, let me put it in the chat here for you. I'm not sure but it worked for everyone else. So it should work for her too. Make sure that she's using, it's in the chat. Make sure that she's using the right URL.
Okay, yeah, because I was forwarding her my URL and probably it only works with me then.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so to take advantage of our time, we are precisely in the right point in the agenda where we say, welcome everybody. And maybe we could introduce ourselves briefly because we are not a big group. What do you think about this? Should we use alphabetical order starting from A to Z? Okay, so please go ahead and start to introduce yourselves.
So if it's it looks like it's me, Alison Hornery. Greetings from very chilly Canberra, Australia this evening. We're delighted to be able to drop into your meeting and talk a little bit about some of the ideas that we have for Facilitation Week coming up. John Wells and I run a couple of different ventures, but we're coming to you today with our public purpose community hat on, where we are leading a kind of a practitioner community, looking at how we can have better conversations and connect more proactively across the world. So you'll hear a little bit more about that later on, but I'll leave the introductions to whoever's next.
Hello, I think I'm next. My name is Irina. I'm dialing in from Canada, and I've been a part of this group since the beginning, and I just work for the local municipal government in Calgary, Alberta, and I've had a chance to practice some future foresight work with that government, and so I have an interest in the area and looking forward to continuing to participate.
Thanks, Irina.
I think it's my turn. So I'm Hiltrud. I'm located in Finland, and I was not quite sure was I signed up to this group, and I'm still not sure. Paolo, can you enlighten me? Because maybe that Paolo signed me up for the group. So it's my first time that I'm here. I have no background, I have no agenda, but I'm very keen on the topic and would like to get to know what this interest group is about, and maybe then decide whether I join in the future or I have something to contribute. So just get to know you.
Great. Hi, I'm Jane. I'm based in Stockholm. First time attending this group, thanks to Paul, after a number of conversations we've had. But I work with an alliance called Best Cities, their convention bureau, 12 cities around the world. And I also facilitate different engagement projects around legacy and leaving an impact from conferences. So I'm coming at it from the international conference side, but very interested to be part of this group and hear more and see what we can collaborate on.
Looks like I'm up, and just to pick up on what Alison said, we, while based in Australia, we managed to produce and coordinate international networked events. We've just come off the back of designing an around the world project for the OECD across some 40 countries. And so we're interested in how we can work with not only the IAF, but other public purpose organizations such as the UN, etc., around, you know, building on the COVID time to try to ensure that there's greater value created, you know, in the years ahead.
Okay, if I'm doing my math or alphabetical sorting correctly, I guess I'm next. My name's Nathaniel. I live in Antwerp, Belgium. This is also my first time attending, and I'm also very new to Future Foresight, so I'm really a newbie, but my interest around it, to provide a little bit of context, is that I often work with people who are technologists or working in technology fields, and so I'm very interested about Future Foresight. One of my areas of interest with it is around thinking about the future and externalities of things that were created. In other words, what are potential unintended consequences? So I don't know if that's a fit or not, but I share that for what it's worth. So glad to join you.
If I am right, it's my turn now, or it's yours, Paolo?
It's you're right, Paolo, it's yours.
Okay, I'm Paolo. I am connecting from Italy, Pisa. At the moment, I am the chair of the Italian IAF chapter. I also have the honor and pleasure to work with Hiltrud in supporting her for the IAF Europe, Middle East chapters meeting that are happening every month. And it's a really nice group. We have about 600 facilitators in the Europe and Middle East members of the IAF. And I have an organization also that's called Futur. So it's travel into the future. And that's why I am really passionate about all the tools, techniques, and methods for foresight, scenario planning, innovation camps, and so. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Paolo. Myself, I'm Paul Nunes-Dier. Currently in the IAF, I have two roles. I am a member of this special interest group. And this is, by the way, one of the reasons I'm a member of this association is precisely because these kind of groups exist. And I'm taking now exclusively all my life revenues from facilitation. So I'm keen to become a better professional in what I deliver to my customers. And most of these, my meetings pertain to future planning and future scenario, especially in healthcare. So I'm here to learn and to develop my competencies. And I find this to be a key value from being a member of this association. And thank you so much, Sarah and Irina, for starting this group that I'm now a member. On the other side, to also thank Jane and everyone else that joined us here today, including, of course, our guests for today. And telling that on that role of the director of conferences, I decided to bring in on board Alison and John here, because they are offering an interesting plan for Facilitation Week. And that could be, you know, one of the decisions from this meeting, special interest group meeting, for us to deliver something in the Facilitation Week. Not going to say yes or no, it's up to you guys to decide that. as I have a lot on my plate in order to be able to do something in the facilitation week, during the facilitation week, but that's part of the plan for today's meeting.
Hi guys, my name is Saara Cheerio from Helsinki. I'm also a founding member of this special interest group. I'm working at the moment as a development director for more sustainable future cities, and in my work I deal with a lot of different change management issues and the strategy programs. I lead our innovation management, for example, and I do need to use these kind of tools quite a lot. And I've been super happy to work with Erina before. Nice to see you guys.
Okay, good afternoon, morning and evening, everybody. My name is Stuart Passy. I'm based in Dubai, been here for just under 13 years. I work as Director for Organisational Development for a oil and gas services company based here in the UAE, and I do a bit of consulting as well on other related topics. I think when I originally joined the IAF, which was in Singapore probably 15 odd years ago, and since then, sort of on and off, I've done a bunch of technology road mapping and related activities, and I sort of go in and out of that depending on the requirements of my sort of engagements. But for me, I think this is a very interesting and important aspect of IAF is how it gets applied, and in terms of the sort of the planning and aspects of how it gets projected, then that's why I'm interested. So I'm a newbie to this group. I haven't been involved in this SIG, but been in and out of the IAF for many years. Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes the round of introductions. So without further ado, over to you, Saara, to bring us in the perspective of why we are existing as a group.
Thanks. Do you have the meeting material I was sending over, or should I just share something from my, or I don't know if I can share a screen.
You can share. Everybody's in this meeting with the sharing abilities. Maybe you
yeah.
better for you to share. Otherwise,
yeah, sure. Then just a moment. Finding the material I was sending over.
Erina, Saara, Erina, a long time I didn't see you. Oh, and we have a new member appearing here, Manasseh. Hello.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I apologize that I'm slightly late.
Yes, we are just about to start our the second point in the agenda. But maybe if you would like,
okay.
With Saara permission, maybe Manasseh can give a few words about himself.
Sure.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Manasseh. I'm based in Abuja, Nigeria. I run a consulting firm called GSCL, and I've been involved in, I'm a HR generalist. And right now I'm focusing a lot on development consulting, supporting state governments, government agencies to recalibrate their systems and processes for more effective delivery of the Sustainable Development Goals. So I think basically that's who I am. And I'm excited about joining this meeting, and I hope it'll be a very wonderful time with every one of you.
Thank you so much.
Great. So Paul was asking me to maybe explain a little bit the background of this special interest group, and I created this. I wonder if I can move you guys somewhere, maybe here. The origins of the special interest group happened when I was joining a certified Foresight professional education in Turku university, and it has the only Finland Futures Research Center, and I had gotten to know IAF through us grounding a chapter in Finland. And then quite soon I found out that there are other people interested in the same topics, and I met you, Erina, and then we were discussing what to do with this. And I'm happy, Erina, that you decided to join me to find out what should be done. Because obviously combining the facilitation and combining the methods from future studies, there seems to be a gap between them, and both need both. But since future studies seems to be multi-scientific, and since facilitation seems to be growing in number all the time, people doing it professionally and us just understanding what all it's about, it seems that there's a really super interesting maybe a gap between these things, and they sort of flirt with each other all the time, that future studies need all the time facilitation in order to go forward, and then again facilitation needs stronger methods and tools and so on, and when those two are combined, it's something really nice. There seems to be a really big gap between these two areas, so it's a super interesting field. So yeah, feel free to pop in, Erina, if you want to add up something. But we started working and sharing our experiences just through our work, what is actually working when doing Foresight, and created this first version of this alternative futures facilitation toolbox. It was really nice that there was a contact to the Finland Futures Research Center, and we also got feedback from there, and maybe those nice insights to what different fields of foresight you actually have, and what kind of needs people can have there, and decided to do the first opening toolbox to that. What else happened then we were also thinking of already making the next versions, and I also formed a sponsorship with a Finnish futures company called the Futures Platform. So there's an ongoing partnership with this company that offers us this kind of you can see the tool here a little bit. You can use their Foresight tool so that one does not need to start from scratch when doing Foresight, but you can sort of concentrate on different phenomena or weak signals already. And then I became a mom of a really beautiful child. So at the moment I've been on a maternity leave for a while, and I think, Erina, then we left it at that point. So we created the toolbox, and we have ongoing partnerships and tools that we could be using. But then I suppose this is now a good meeting. Thanks, Paul, for organizing it, of getting interested people together, and this is where we are. And the question is just as relevant as ever, or even more relevant, maybe. Who was, I don't know, having workshops about the future that were dealing with some global pandemic things, I don't know. So yeah, Erina, would you like to comment something on what we did so far?
Yeah, certainly. So as Sarah was mentioning, we started up with a very clear and time-bound objective. It was to develop a collection of facilitation tools that would support future foresight work. When that work wrapped up or ended, there was the thought or idea to create this SIG. And then, of course, we struck that up. We were getting that going. And like most best intention efforts, as soon as we got going, life takes over in the form of a beautiful baby for Sarah, and a busy work life for myself. And so it's kind of petered out a little bit. But again, just to reiterate what Sarah is saying, it is a great time to reinvigorate this group, take a look at what we can do going forward, and the contributions the practice of not only foresight and future studies can make, but also, of course, facilitation, especially given our current global situation. So the time is right, certainly.
Yeah. And well, I did prepare a project plan template. It's just the basic project management that we have been doing when taking care of the special interest group. But this is all empty now, so this is how we've been talking about doing the toolbox 2.0 and then having the platform so that all of us we could fill it up while working with our different workshops. There could be a stakeholder network contacting research institutes and universities that work in the field of creating a professional network, and then of course grow the member base like we are meeting now, and then doing all the coordination needed. But there could be, I don't know, plenty of goals what we could do, and I didn't fill this up other than just having a basic project plan. So this is all what we have. As you see, it's all empty. So there's an empty paper to fill in. Thank you. Paul, do you want to continue?
Thank you so much, Sarah and Irina, for starting these special interest groups. And I am so pleased to see that your presentation has a lot of structure there and everything is empty in regards of the content, because this gives us the chance as a group right now to start building that and adding on those templates. And this is exciting. Definitely, we have an agenda to fulfill and a couple of points here. Could I be, I'm sorry if I'm reminding of the agenda, but after this presentation, what will be the next step?
Okay, I was in the agenda explaining what we have been doing and upcoming events. And as first of all, I think that Sarah, you have been creating the future, because having a baby is having the future. So congratulations. This is really believing in the future, being optimistic, and we need that as well. And yes, as you both said, Irina and Sarah, I think this is really the moment. I mean, perhaps when we were building and there is certainly a gap between having the tools and having all the techniques of Foresight. So this is really the time when most people have felt totally, you know, it was they call it a black swan. How can you predict what happened with the COVID? Nobody could. I mean, it's one of those wild cards that you use into, yeah, we have a pandemic. It happened. So the learning to cope makes us more with these surprises, makes us more resilient, makes us more aware of how to drive towards what we want and try to avoid what we don't want. So all the principles of the and the scope of the SIG are in what we are doing. And I think it's like looking through a hole, you know, the future is starting just behind that hole, and it's depending on where we are directing our sight, will also shape our strategy. As you said, for a series of reasons, not much has happened. We have had some calls, we've had some meetings also with Irina and on, for instance, how to learn from the examples of how you were shaping the new website of the city of Calgary. So there has been a lot of sharing within the small group, and Paul has been also, but there is a potential, an enormous potential. And as IAF, I am really happy to have been within the founding group, and I hope that more people will learn these tools as they are learning to use all the virtual platform activities that we've been forced. For some of us, it has been forced. For others, it was, you know, day by day working smart and remotely. By the way, I'm also working, and I hope to deliver the book on the basis of a survey that I did with all the facilitators, also about the future of facilitation. So that will also be something that we can bring in as a part of the SIG special interest group on facilitation. And yes, we need to fill in those blank pages that Sarah was showing. And what a wonderful group to do this. And we will, I am sure, I am very optimistic, like Sarah, and believe we will deliver a lot of fantastic projects in the next years.
Yes, that was a good summary of what we have been doing, definitely, and what I think, using a perspective of the IAF as a whole. First of all, this special interest group was the pioneer, the first special interest group in our association. So Sarah and Irina deserve a credit for this. I think they will be in the history of this association. Congratulations to them. The second thing is that, of course, this is also responsibility, because in terms of other special interest groups, everybody will be looking at us. And the fact that there's a template with a structure and empty spaces is good, because we can say to other special interest groups, hey guys, use this for your own stuff, right? And the plan was for Matern, which is the director of membership, to be in this call. Unfortunately, he could not join it, but he will be seeing the recording. And I'm sure that he's going to pay a lot of attention to this kind of structure, because this is what I like in working with organized persons like Sarah and Irina. I'm learning a lot with them, not only in the way we constructed the toolbox with a lot of structure, because the toolbox is something that exists and is available in our webpage. Let me just share you. It's just a little bit of a part of the toolbox. The toolbox is much more complete and has a lot of insights that you can generate from that. Let me see if I can get, are you seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we are seeing my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
This is special interest groups. Now we have a lot of special interest groups, right? But for a while, we were the only interest group that existed. For this reason, we have a lot of members. And the reason is that when anyone was joining the IAF, the by default special interest group was this one, and we have like 20 members, and I'm sure that they don't even know why they are here registered. But so this is a PowerPoint presentation, and I've just reserved a few pages here on our page. But there's with 8 pages, but there's a lot of insights that you can get there. I'm talking to the new members in this special interest group. There's lots of interesting drawings. By the way, this artwork is all by Sarah. She's also an artist, yeah. And she's a great way to communicate with this artistic representation of why alternative futures are not considered, and normally not considered, and the way to think slow, think fast. So this is just a summary, but there's a lot of more information here on the presentation that I will be sharing you. And this is also something that we are thinking about, is expanding here on the tools, right? So not only the facilitation tools, but also digital tools that we can use in future Foresight facilitation. So this is one thing, right? On the other hand, we have coming up next is the International Facilitation Week, which this year, due to COVID and due to everything, we in the board have decided to make it an open week. So it's not going to be International Facilitation Week anymore. It's going to be FAC Week. And we want to open this week to all collectives that want to join us in celebration of facilitation. So this is a process of debranding a little bit, debranding the Facilitation Week, not attaching this week to the IAF, but something that is shared by other associations. There are many other associations of facilitation out there, and not just facilitation, you know, also organizational development. Whomever feels that facilitation is worth celebrating in this week, then this week could be used for that. And it is in this scenario that I had the pleasure to meet well, 6 months ago, I had my initial conversation with John and Alison. And I really understand that there's a potential of collaboration between the International Facilitation Week and X36. This is the website, and this is a calendar of events that are already prepared in the X36 platform. And we are planning now to converge into together on the International Facilitation Week, which will be somewhere here in October. It's not here in your calendar, John and Alison, but we really like to have something together. And for these, John and Alison, maybe you could speak for yourself. What would you have in mind for the FAC Week, and especially in this case for—
We lost Paul.
Sorry? Hello? So what we're trying to do is trying to make an intersection between International Facilitation Week, our special interest group, and X3060. So let's see what we come up in the middle.
We good to go? Yeah, thanks, Paul. Look, this has come about because not only have we been talking with Paul, and he's a very enthusiastic advocate for the association, but as I mentioned earlier, at the risk of doing an ad break, Alison and I were absolutely blown away by an opportunity that was given us by the OECD in Paris a couple of months ago to look at designing an event, a virtual event for government around the world to explore new ways forward for government after COVID. And we proposed and went ahead with a co-design program, which meant that for a 2-day event in November, we worked with some 350 people, which became a solid team of about 110 people in about 39 countries. Now, we were working for about for a 4-month period across this year with an incredible range of people from government departments, from innovation labs, from NGOs, from schools of government, from educational bodies, and on every continent. And one of the things that I can say to all of you, and that I suspect most of you know anyway, is that government across the world, and certainly I have to say the Anglo world, the Western world, government is more fragile and running from under itself than they are willing to admit. And indeed, colleagues of ours with much higher pay grades than us have very much talked about in recent times how, you know, even though for the last 10, even 15 years, we've been all talking about transforming government. We've been talking about digital government, but we've also been talking about new ways forward in delivering public programs that the community, business, major corporations have all got a role in working together with government and others, all of us working together in delivering public value programs. Well, of course, as one of you have already said, who could have predicted that along came COVID? And what it's shown is the extent to which not only governments, but also all of the kinds of organizations that I think all of us work with as facilitators, right? All these public purpose organizations with a focus on delivering have been caught short, have been caught not knowing what to do next. And the interesting thing I think all of us know from the work we do is quite often the way forward, the solutions are not in any one room and not with any one person, but they're with the collective. That, you know, I love that line that the smartest person in the room is usually the whole room. And so what's interesting is that under this OECD piece of work, we were privileged to be able to witness people at different levels of government. And by the way, I'd like to say not only the big institutions like the OECD, World Economic Forum, World Bank, etc., but also local governments, city governments, small city governments across the world are really, really struggling. Now, the point I want to come to is something that I suspect we all know anyway, which is we have all evolved in recent years to a point where we can have deeper and more connected conversations across the world to find new ways of solving problems, to find new ways of sharing solutions. And so that inspired us. And I have to give our mutual friend Paolo there in Madrid some blame. You know, I will give him some credit that he's been an enthusiastic support. What we've done is reach back to a lot of these organizations that we've been talking to and say, why don't we start to hold conversations around how to hold better conversations, right? So let me just quickly jump to a quick overview of a program that we're developing under our X360 umbrella called Connected Conversations. Now, X360, just quickly, it's a bit of a naff name, but it's meant to be a little bit clumsy because it's meant to sit on the end of other people's projects. It's about being experimental, about the X factor of the unknown. It's about doing things with a 360 perspective, top to bottom. So look, Connected Conversations is a program that our network around the world of X360 public purpose professionals is putting together in association with the UN Department of Global Communication, with the International Association of Facilitators, and a whole bunch of other organizations that are coming on board. I can get you this draft information if you're interested to receive it. Basically, what we're proposing to the IAF and others is a program, a dialogue program, focusing on how new kinds of facilitation, or even old kinds of facilitation, can make it possible for us to connect in new ways and have deeper, more meaningful conversations. So there's two parts to the project, what we're calling the Connected Conversation or Convo Jam, and the Connected Conversation Relay. Now the Jam, I must admit, I'm a bit of a fan of this because it's literally in fact, it will start in September, but it will build and crescendo in the week of the 19th to the 25th in Facilitation Week. And in the spirit of a true creative, open, participatory, collaborative jam, it is literally an idea to bring ideas together. And so we want to create ways that people can host interviews, hold interviews with people that they'd love to reach out to, that they don't have a way to talk to. People might get together in groups across the world to look at creative ways of visualizing conversations. We want to do some fun things like hold a hashtag hunt. And the hashtag hunt is to come up with a collection of all of the social value, public purpose hashtags that are important for knowledge sharing. We want to come up with some Legos serious play challenges across the world. But we want to have a bit of fun coming up with things like listings of people's favorite cafes that even in COVID times, they think are good places to host conversations, or maybe where conversations can be hosted from virtually. We also want to create a special calendar that will be a COVID calendar, meaning that for anyone holding connected conversations across the world, even if it's across a region like South America, they will be able to see at a glance, looking forward to the month, the week that they're looking to hold the conversation, what the predicted state of a city might be in lockdown. That will need local support from facilitators and others in participating cities to keep the calendar alive. But for the duration of COVID, let me tell you, when we're doing our OECD gig, it's very hard to plan something in November when places are now coming back in under lockdown again. So the COVID calendar is one thing, but essentially it's about, as we like to say, looking at the faces and the cases and the places and the spaces that make up connected conversation. And by connected, we don't just mean digital, we mean conversation that is more than just people in a room talking to each other, but it's all the different ways that we reach out and interact in new ways. The second part is a relay. We're going to have a lot of fun with this, because the idea of the relay is to take the familiar idea of a conversation cafe, and we are partnering with the UN Department of Global Communication, who have been hosting the UN 75th anniversary global conversation. And October 24th, on the Saturday, the second last day of Facilitation Week, is the 75th anniversary of the UN. So we're proposing, starting in New Zealand with a 2-hour conversation, to hold a series of at least 75 conversations around the world, city by city, for 2 hours. And there will be a package of information around a series of questions the UN wants to ask the world, but also we'll be asking people to add into the conversation their special connected conversation ideas for ways that we can connect in new ways. So this relay is not all happening at the same time. It will happen at around midday in each participating city as we move across the world for 24 hours, finishing either on the West Coast of the US or Hawaii. Let me say that our friends in the UN are very excited to be part of us holding a relay on the 24th. And of course, the day after the 24th will be the closing of the week. And that's where we'll take all of this, and it will be the closing day for the Jam. And we'll bring together the relay, the creative components of the Jam, and pull it all together in what we're calling an idea snapshot, a connected conversation idea snapshot, to say in 2020, this is what's possible. Now, one of the things we're excited about touching base with your group is the idea of the snapshot is to not just look at where we are or even where we've been, but to think of it as the beginning of creating a trajectory for future thinking. All great future projection is very much based on trajectories, working, developing trends from where we've been, where we are, and being able to predict a trajectory into the future. So one of the things that we'd like to be able to contribute is all of the data and the insights from the UN relay, alongside the creative jam sessions that'll be happening at different days and different times. And all of the other Fact Week activities that are going to be held, various discussions, you name it, we're inviting those in. This is not a territorial thing. We're inviting all of those in as well to be part of the jam, to be part of the relay if they fall on that day. So just to finish off, we've got a range of tools that are being developed. Paul knows some of these. We've been talking to a couple of companies around the world about hosting some special dimensions so that facilitators have got some tools to work with in their local communities. All the participants that you can invite in to be part of the program will have the opportunity to experience their city and dialogue in a new way, a connected global way. So that's what we're looking to do. Paul, do you want me to talk about the common future piece, or?
Exactly. I think that particularly for this group, and you suggested that we could propose a session on the facilitating our common future. What will be this type of sessions? What do you have in mind, and on how could we do this in the Fact Week, which is running out of time for us right now? But
yeah. Look, just to be very, very quick, and for those of you that are interested, we might hold a follow-up conversation as part of this 2020 Connected Conversations program. We are looking to just initially hold a series of kind of roundtable discussions in September, which Paul and some others will be participating in and are aware of. with a view to leading to a series of very conventional roundtable dialogues, one a day through Facilitation Week. And the theme of these, during Facilitation Week, the theme is facilitating our common future. But the underlying dimension that we are starting in September and want to then continue through in November and into 2021 is, as you heard me say earlier, building on this dimension of what is happening around the world. How do we move forward? How are we all going to recover from COVID? Not just from the public health scare in the next 2 years, but the economic impacts over the coming decade, which is the same decade that the UN's trying to address the Sustainable Development Goals. So we see this as creating dialogues on what some might call the new public purpose. I think you're all familiar with the idea of VUCA and volatility and uncertainty, etc. Down the left-hand side there, the new public purpose is about exploring 4 things. New public impact, what it means to be creating outcomes and social value. And we all know that NGOs and others are thinking in terms of their work as public impact. What is the new public, sorry, this is a mistake here, the new public service, not the new public sector, because it's beyond public governance and public institutions. It's also about all of the ways that service clubs, charities, community groups, pop-up emergency services groups, all help in delivering public services. The third theme will be public participation, very familiar to all of you. And finally, the public sphere, that old idea of the public conversation, the way that topics and commentators and channels frame how we understand and interact with the world. So basically what we're asking is this time for the emergence of a new way of thinking about public purpose? And essentially, to give this group a bit of underpinning thinking, building on the work of Gladwell and others around tipping points, it's about looking at how knowledge people, storytelling people and networking people come together to help co-create new futures. And part of our exploration will be around what we call tipping 2.0. But it's also about the future power of collective, all those ways that collective intelligence, which is on the agenda of a lot of public service organizations, governments, how collective intelligence feeds collective response, which I think, Paolo, someone was saying, we were all ashamed perhaps of how unready we were to respond to COVID. So greater collective response leading to greater collective impact. And some of the common futures themes that we believe are there to be explored over the next 12 months is not just digital technology, but digital life, online learning, the future of work, multidisciplinary learning, new types of partnerships that focus on shared value, living labs and collaborative spaces, new types of civic leadership, emergency management and public health, and the space sector as a new way of looking at our world. So look, that's what we're looking to do, and we'd love to be able to collaborate with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the presentation. And now is the point in time where in the meeting we will see, we need a facilitator to decide on what to do next steps. And fortunately, Jane volunteered to facilitate this last point of the agenda. So over to you, Jane.
Yes, I volunteered because I thought you needed someone to help. So here I am. I have to say that the presentation from John was wonderful and really insightful to hear from everybody. And big thank you to Arena and Sarah for setting this group up. So I'm not sure if I'm fully equipped to be tasked with this part, but I do think that we're all here. We've been here for this hour. and we really want to have some next steps that we can take forward. So I really just want to open it up now to hear if anybody has any comments and thoughts on what our next actions could be.
I have a question. What kind of platform or tools do you use? Just will it be Zoom or your own? Yeah, what kind of techniques? I mean, yeah, John.
Yeah, Paolo, the short answer to that is that as facilitators, and the short answer is everything, because the connected conversations are really about exploring the diverse range of ways that we interact and connect. It isn't really about digital conversation, but of course that's going to be a big part. We feel strongly that this is a time for all of us to explore different platforms. So even though Zoom gets talked about a lot, MS Teams is coming through, Google Meet, there are lots of other kinds of platforms. We are not a platform organization. We're a community of people like you. We're just X360 is a community of public purpose professionals. It's like this special interest group, right? It's a big special interest group around the world. So, we do have, as part of X360, a space with any of you would be welcome to be part of it. We call it Idea Space. And at the moment, we've just kicked it off. It's got about 100 people in it, but it's literally just a space for interaction, dialogue, and, in a way, it's a typical collaboration space.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, just another quick question. Are any of the 100 members or yourselves, have they ever been members of the IAF, or are they members of the, some of them are as well, yes? Yes, okay.
And one of the interesting things, Paolo, that we found in, opening up this community was we asked people to nominate some of the key skills that they felt they had and that they wanted to develop as in part of joining this community. And almost a third, close to half, self-nominated as having facilitation skills or wanting to develop them. And we think that's a really interesting trend, given the very wide range of people and places and experiences that they bring, that the whole kind of facilitation world is starting to be more recognized, I think, as having value, which is why we're keen to have these sorts of conversations.
I agree. Jane?
Now, Sarah, I see that you're leaving in 5 minutes. I was wondering if you have any comments now that you're back and you shared your presentation as to some thoughts around next action points.
Oh yeah, plenty, but I suppose we should do like a workshop session on it. For example, with Neuro, or I don't know what virtual post-its you are using, but I think there are so many of us that we need to facilitate a small ideation session. But yeah, sorry, I need to go in 5 minutes, so I'm super happy if somebody's able to, maybe to see the recording afterwards. Yeah, but very interesting things, yeah.
Sarah, so sorry you have to go, but I think that what John and Alison had in mind is more like a standard panel session where we have a conversation and not actually a workshop on future facilitation foresight, right, John?
Yeah, I guess
primarily.
So. Look, Paul, you've invited us into this special interest group to talk about what we're doing coming up this year. Can I say that I know what it's like, by the way, firstly, at our end, pitching something fairly comprehensive, but also what it feels like to be at your end, hearing a whole bunch of stuff thrown at you. I just want to add to briefly to what we were saying by kind of making it clear that while we've got two core theme dimensions with the relay and the jam, the idea, particularly for the jam, is to create a home where a whole bunch of creative and participatory stuff can get done that you're kind of already doing. So for example, I would imagine that we can have a bit of fun with the jam to tease out and bring together a whole bunch of Foresight tools for your group for the work that Sarah you're putting together, right? And I'm sure you've got you and Irina have got a whole bunch of you know, a repository of that you've been gathering, but the idea of the jam is to kind of reach out. It's a fun campaign to reach out around the world and say to people, hey, what have you got? What are you doing? So that's an example. But just to leap to the other end of the spectrum, away from something structured and conventional to something unconventional, one of the things we're looking to do that might kind of connect with some of you is to do a creative exercise in future history, and do that. We've had so many people talking to us around things like, you know, the new economics, that the way we think about finance is going to change in the next 10 years, and that elderly people around the world are concerned, in the US, everywhere. So one of the fun projects we're going to be kicking off, just in a small way, is a Postcards from the Future project. And it's an opportunity for older people to ask their grandkids to tell the story of the future that they believe is coming, and the future that they, right? And for elderly people to tell their grandkids what their concerns are for the future, right? And what we would love to do is to get a group of people together who not only, you know, from the creative side of things can do some fun stuff, but people who are also really good at curating data and visualizing data, and to be able to turn that into something. We've got a guy in the US who believes he next year could put a creative package together and put it in front of 2 or 3 of the world's largest pension funds, with the aim of communicating that these are the concerns of ordinary people right here, right now, right? This, by the way, is the kind of thing that keeps us up at night with X360, right? It's stuff that's a bit of fun and at the same time has some value.
I think it's really interesting because it's opening people's minds to possibilities through dialogue, through engagement, engaging in a different way, and what a wonderful way to do it. So I think that's a good idea. There's a few comments popping up here that certainly doing a jam with the future Foresight facilitation could be really interesting, and maybe having a separate session to discuss in more detail what we could do would be great.
Just to say quickly, we've said to Paul last week, if anyone, we know that everyone's busy trying to, frankly, survive. But if any of you want to, you know, stretch your creative muscles and to just play, because that's all this is. It's a canvas to play with. Manasa, I was excited to hear you talking about the SDGs. One of the things we've been saying to a number of our friends actively involved with the SDGs is there needs to be more work to communicate to ordinary people how it's relevant. And that's what this is about.
Wonderful. Any other comments from anyone?
Yeah, just to say, being on the call for the first time, I mean, as I say, having been in and out of other IAF initiatives, I think this sounds like a great opportunity, and probably for the first time brings a lot of geographical parts of the IAF together. So in that respect, it could maybe be a bit leading edge in terms of how it brings everything together. So overall, I mean, I got the gists of what was being going on there. Sounds great to me, very exciting, and very keen to be involved. Yeah.
I also think that the great added value of the IAF is the international dimension. I mean, of course, we all have a strong interaction with our own regions and so on, but the international dimension can help in 2 ways. Organizing events that are happening across different countries, you can have a similar format and repeat it without reinventing the wheel, And so it's a kind of more economic way to, we all, as you said, John, are working to look for more work and so on. So it's also important to use our time, which is our main resource, in the most effective and efficient way. So organizing something across in a global way is of course, I think, stronger than having lots of little lights happening like in a Christmas tree, just without being connected one to the other. So I think the idea.
Paolo, just quickly, I'd like to reinforce, and I'd like some advice from IAF members on how best to communicate this, that this is a public purpose program, but we're not unrealistic. What we're looking to do is to deliver to participating facilitators some new experiences, and in fact, to be blunt, some business development tools. Any facilitator looking to step up and hold a discussion of maybe half a dozen or 10 or 20 people in their city as part of this, it's an opportunity, of course, for them to reach out to new organizations, potential clients, people they don't normally reach to, and invite them into the conversation. And we see putting together very simple guides for how to go to your local radio station and say, look, we're the host in our city of this discussion, or I'm doing one, but here are 2 or 3 other facilitators also hosting a conversation in my city, our city, for this event. So we see it being a way that we can help create publicity and provide a platform for reaching out to government clients, not only old clients, but also maybe even using older clients to, re-engage them in new ways and reach back to new kinds of organizations.
Jane, can I have another question? Yeah, just a technicality perhaps, but when you talk about the relay and you have more cities on the same time zone, how do you do that relay? Because, it's easy when you say Hawaii is probably the only city in the same time zone. But,
So our thinking, Paolo, around that, having done this a few times, is that's where our central team here will play a role in matchmaking relay events together. So we've got this massive time zone mapper that we use, where as events start to come in, we start to block them into, the 3 major, Australia, Asia, Pacific, then kind of Europe, Middle East, Africa, and then the Americas, and then you start to break it down from there. We will start matchmaking and connecting events together so that the relay gets passed between events. So it might be a case of, the host of you as the host in your city.
In Italy.
Would then just drop into a Zoom meeting of the next place that's going to happen, say, hi, this is what we talked about, have a great conversation, and then you drop out again. So that's how we imagine it will happen, trying to keep it as light and deft and easy to choreograph as possible. But just to, there's just something really special about, it's like the Olympic torch, running around the place. Just a way of continuing and connect. It's the ultimate connected conversation across 24 hours. So our role, and anybody who wants to, join us in that, will be to connect cities in agreeable time zones, and look at ways that they can talk together for a time and, share.
Yeah.
it will be critical for the Nordic people in Europe, because at 12 they are having lunch. For the Spanish, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So
yeah, I mean, even though we, you know, ideally you try and keep it in a similar kind of time block, but at the end of the day, culturally and also just from people's time, it is going to be a Saturday. We obviously, people will hold the conversation at the time that makes most sense for them and that people can participate, and we will make those connections wherever in the time. There'll always be somebody somewhere in the world having something to say at a similar time, even if it's at this time at night, as you can tell. So yeah, we're pretty confident that we'll be able to do that.
Sounds exciting, and it's so purpose driven as well. I think this is the best thing about it. And at this current climate, you feel that more and more people are looking at how they can make more of an impact, how they can connect with a broader range of stakeholders, not just the people they know. People are moving outside of their bubbles. And I think because we're connecting digitally, people are more open to connect as well. So you are finding that doors are opening a little bit more easily. So if we can use this opportunity to do something and elevate the power of facilitation as well, while learning new skills and hopefully developing business skills as well, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. So looking forward to seeing what the next steps will be to getting involved.
There was a question from Manasseh.
Oh, yeah.
Which maybe I can share if you want. Just curious how involved the local UN offices would be to be pulled into the conversation.
So just my answer to that needs to pick up on what Jane was just saying. This is not a top-down project, okay? This is what we like to call and have people like the OECD and the European Commission are now calling a networked event, meaning there is no global event. There is no central event. It's not coming out of anywhere. It is literally a pop-up, ground-up event. So the answer to the question is the UN aren't going to ask their offices around the world to get involved. And frankly, and don't quote me, although I think, Paul, you're recording this, but you know, the fewer international institutions who formally get involved, the better this will go, because this is an opportunity for people from the ground up to be part of a conversation. We've been told by IAF members in Africa, but also others that we're already working with in Africa, there will be around 10 to 15 cities across Africa alone participating, which is fantastic. The thing you need to know about the UN dialogue, for any of you who are cynical, like me, who have been part of a lot of UN discussions, this is actually something that's a little different. The UN is actually asking the people of the world to talk candidly back to the Secretary General. And so it's an opportunity. Like part of some of the questions that are going to be asked will include, you know, how comfortable do you feel with how government responded to COVID, for example? So it really is taking a snapshot of the state of the planet. And it's a really significant thing. Now, whatever actually happens in the conversation on the day, all of you will appreciate that what we're actually doing, us guys, the conspiracy of hope for all of us that get involved, is that what we're really doing, in a way, is taking a snapshot of how this stuff can happen. It doesn't matter if it's 75 cities or 200 cities or 500 cities. We're not in the, you know, I was involved in Live Aid with Geldof when it happened. So I've been part of big events. What this is about is actually looking at how can we pilot and prototype better ways of talking globally, as I think, Paolo, you said, right? Rather than just the Christmas lights, how can we talk together in meaningful ways? So that's what we're looking to do. So the short answer, Manasseh, is no UN office outreach per se, but
local activation.
But can I just say, we were talking to just a couple that we know, I don't know if they're IAF members, in Cape Town. And, you know, it's been the kind of thing that's given them an opportunity to reach out to a whole bunch of NGOs and others around, let's get together and hold a conversation. That's what I meant, Paolo, about using it as a way of getting new kinds of work. This is an opportunity for any smart facilitator to reach out with a kind of an open participatory mandate, but to invite anyone. You could invite the mayor of your city into a conversation. Indeed, we are looking to talk to a bunch of local government bodies so that to create a sense of let's bring local government in, let's bring city administration into the discussion.
Absolutely, bridging the gap, which is very important between government and civil society. People are having to leave here and there. So Paul, I think I'll hand back to you just now.
Thank you so much, Jane, for facilitating these next steps. And as a conclusion and a wrap up, I think one of the major points is for the ones in this special interest group that want to explore what activities specifically for the FAC week we could do together. Then we'll have a follow-up discussion. Is this correct? Cool. So I think that Irina and Irina already left. Oh, and Sarah already left. So they will be the ones who could probably do a great job in either in the jam session or in one of the Facilitating the Futures conversations. Myself, I'm unfortunately I'm not. I don't have enough time available to lead a session. I could participate in one, but not to lead anyone. Paolo, maybe you would like to do something with Futur in the FAC week.
Well, if I do it as IAF, of course, and but we have to see. I think the scope of the IAF is also the same in the sense of raising the awareness on the power of facilitation. So here we have a clearer purpose in the sense of the public service participation and so on. So there is a nice connection to that, and I think what is important probably as a reflection is to not only have a clear structure of the relay, but also maybe a similar guideline of the methodology for each of the session, you know, like the storyboard or structure, so that everyone follows the same steps, has the same questions. At least in this way you can harvest maybe a more coherent set of information. So that's my reflection on that. Yeah, I've added the picture of Pisa just behind me. You see the tower, the leaning tower actually is there. Yeah, the leaning tower.
It's leaning, yes, absolutely. So could Alison and John, could you take the lead on organizing the next meeting now that you have access to all of us here in these special interest groups? Maybe you'd like to have our email addresses, but it's there on the calendar invite.
Yes.
Yes, we will do that.
I think there may have been a few people that weren't in the calendar invite that
So we'll go back to Irina and Sarah to make sure we've got the full list, and then we can circulate to everyone.
Okay, that's fine. So without further ado, I think we can say goodbye, everybody.
Just one issue, just one suggestion, Paul, maybe is also to share this with the board so that we also have the endorsement of the IAF board, because it's an interesting initiative and it makes sense to see how to reach out to all the facilitators in the different regions.
Definitely. This is conversations that are in progress with John and Alison and Sharon, which is our board member in charge of partnerships. And they are having this conversation, hopefully sometime soon, right, John?
You have here Hiltrud and myself, and we are going to bring this into the next chapter call of September. So in that way, we can reach out to our European and Middle East members.
Definitely. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Jane, for your wonderful facilitation. Well done.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you very much. It was great meeting. Thank you.
You are a great facilitator.
And the fantastic Scottish accent.
And by the way, John and Alison, you have to keep Jane in mind for the Relay Cafe, because she works with the Best City Alliance, right?
Of
Yes.
course, of
We-
course.
Maybe
we
that's a
did-
separate conversation you
We
should have.
didn't miss that.
Yeah, okay, good.
We'll talk to you soon, Jane.
Excellent. Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Bye.
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 Ciao, Hiltrud.
Ciao, Paolo.